Hello everyone, in this episode of Screencast, we'll continue speaking about service workers and we'll focus more on topic about data storage, how to store lots of data, what limitations are there and what are the options. First of all, let's speak about different ways to store data locally in general, not only service workers. And here I highlighted 5 different options. First one is cookies. With cookies, everything is quite obvious, very limited capability, and also you cannot really, with service workers, you cannot really do anything with cookies except hacking the web request, because you have access to web requests and try to parse headers and send extra headers within requests. So that's the way to interact, but that's a hackish way. That's, I hardly believe that you need to do it if you need to store something within service workers. Next one, web storage. Web storage is presented with local storage and session storage. Both simple and convenient to use if you need to store some limited amount of string data, but still they're not accessible within service workers, so it's not an option for us. IndexedDB. That's very interesting option because it not only allows you to store lots of data, lots of structured data, but also we have an ability to store it within service workers. That's great for us. By the way, I provided all the nice small examples that you can play after the source code will be provided as usual in the description. So Cache API that we checked in one of the previous videos where we tried to create offline application. We had to cache some files and we did file cache with a combination of cache add. But also it works not only for files, it works for just data, just string data with such an approach when you can put with some sort of virtual URL. It can be anything here, it can be just a key, and store your data. And after retrieve, also by this key. That will be also an option for us to use for service workers. One more way to store data is to store within files. It's a very interesting option using File API. File API within JavaScript, it's quite advanced now. You only need in browser to click the button, like to provide the access for File API, and after you can already provide a description, file name, and also content of the file. And the content of the file will be stored within the file by the descriptor provided by this API. It's quite nice, but unfortunately, or fortunately, we cannot use it within service workers because it will be a serious security problem if somewhere in background somebody else would be able to manipulate with your files without even you knowing what's going on. So, as we said, IndexedDB and Cache API is an option for us to go. I created such an example with both. Here I do our service worker initialization, quite basic one, nothing special. Also here I added special console log that will be provided each second, new information. And the most important part for us here is navigator.storage.estimate. That's so far the best way to get information about what data is already used from our storage and what is still there. It doesn't seems to be very precise, and sometimes it shows really strange numbers, but as I said, that's the best what we have now, so we should rely on it. And in my example, we will test our Cache API and IndexedDB. So here the functionality fill the storage and clear storage. What I did, I created just 4 buttons with data attribute that has class name and method. And here I did some magic providing those classes And when we have our command, I just parse the command and get class name and method and run it. That's where we get service worker message. And let's briefly look what we have inside those classes. Each of those classes has two methods: field storage and clear storage. Field storage for Cache API. What I do, I generate 100 megabytes of data. Here we have 1000 multiply 1000, that's a megabyte. If you take into account that we take a letter like 1 byte, so we have 1 megabyte and multiply 100, it means here we have 100 megabytes of data. And I do it 100 times. This means that we will have 10 gigabytes of data, quite significant size to check whether it will work. And clear storage, yeah, very basic functionality to clean up after. With IndexedDB, I do almost the same idea of creating. And here, let's also focus that I just don't want to record all 10 gigabytes in a one cache record. I decided to split it into hundreds, just not to face any limitations. And I create sort of virtual or fake URL where I store it. And here the same idea. I store 100 of records to get to the size of 10 gigabytes of data. So let's refresh the application. Let's make sure that our service records, the latest one. As we see from my previous experiments, I already have 5,000 gigabits. And also I have 140 gigabits of available storage. This number is really strange for me because my total storage size is 250 and it almost all used. So I have about 30 gigabytes left. That's why this number, if you know, please leave your comment under the video about why it's so. We can control our cache storage. We see it's nothing here, and IndexedDB also here. Nothing is recorded here. And to make it also nice, after each second, not to have a lot of duplication, I clear the console. So we see only the last information. Oh, now it's for some reason the garbage collector did the job probably. Okay, so let's check our Cache API. And you see it started filling. Our goal is 10 gigabytes of data. And that's very nice that we do it with service workers because UI is not blocked. If you would do it without service workers, you will be completely blocked before it store everything. Let's check our cache storage, and yes, all our dummy data is stored successfully. We can clean it now, and after some time we should be able to see that it's 0 or close to 0, depends on, at least here we have the storage is already empty. Here it still shows the old information. Sometimes it may take some time to really get to the correct value. And yes, now it's correct. And let's do the same for IndexedDB. Fill in the storage. There is no any reaction on it right now, but let's see in our developer tools. Also no data here. Oh, now we see 3 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes of data. It's going. Yes, we have our 10 gigabytes of data. And here we also expect, yes, to have our dummy data records. All good, all correct. Now we can clean. And after cleaning, even despite all the objects were removed, we still see that some storage is still in use. That might be. So such a test, as I said, I'll provide you all the code that you can do it also locally for your case. Also, I provided some cheat sheets about information about storage, also with a link for more information. And unfortunately, I couldn't find any specification, exact specification per browser about limitations. It depends on browser. It's vary from browser to browser. Some browsers provide fixed amounts. Some browsers provide percentage. Some browsers has conditionals. So based on disk size, you either have fixed amount or percentage. But the size is huge. As we saw, I easily stored 10 gigabytes of data. That's a lot. You can store video files and after provide it to your user in offline mode. So if you have any exact information about browser specifications, to see like exact numbers or to see exact rules, that would be nice also if you provide in the comments. And for now, that's it. Thank you for watching.